Good morning, everyone. Suzanne Taylor King here for another Friday live of Unlock Your Way with STK. And I am super excited for today's conversation with Jay Grosman, who was connected to me through the amazing Dina Wolf, who is in the Expansion Lab community. And we had such an incredible conversation the first time we met. He's the founder of two companies that are not super related, but I'm excited for you to see the connection because one of his companies led to starting another company, and the incredible rapport we had on our first call because of our common interest in cars. Welcome to the show, Jay.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here, Suzanne.
Oh, you're so welcome. I'm going to share this live into my Facebook group, the Idea Lab for Entrepreneurs. If you're not there, whenever I do a live or a training or a podcast or a conversation, I always share extra bonuses in that group. So you want to watch from in there because that's where all the extra goodies are shared. And I'm sure Jay will have some wisdom for us as well. Maybe just a little bit. So how did you get started, Jay? Tell us a little bit about your auto business.
It started in a land far, far away.
Yes.
I decided after 5 years trying to go through school, and I finally got out with this thing called a college degree. I was trying to think of man, what would be like the most trusted profession I could ever get into? Because my parents really taught me a lot of great things when I was growing up. And one of them was integrity and honesty and all these different things. So I was like, why don't I just become a car salesman? Trusted profession.
Like a little oxymoron there, I think.
It really is. And so in 1996, I actually started in the car business.
Wow.
And I was in the top 1%, probably easily in Missouri, maybe in the country. I was very, very good at it. And one of the things that I noticed as I was going through being a car salesperson is, believe it or not, my morals and ethics did not align with what my higher ups were trying to teach me. And I stayed in there for 18 years.
Wow.
Because I didn't feel like once you have a skill set, and I think everybody can just relate to this, is when you're in that comfort zone and you're making a lot of money, you're like, well, I don't know what else I'm going to do.
Right.
And unfortunately, that's how I felt. So I started building my own business within a business. I got so good that I could really kind of dictate how I wanted to do things. And my bosses kind of let me do it. And then one day my life changed forever. And my boss says to me, I'm leaving the company.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, wait, what do you mean you're leaving? He goes, Jay, I'm telling you right now, your life is never going to be the same. And just so everybody knows, I was working on a one income, living in one of the most, cherished places to live in St. Louis, very high end. I could buy anything I wanted. I supported a family of four, and all of a sudden he's like, I'm leaving. And I'm thinking, oh gosh, he's full of crap. I didn't believe him. So this is where my life changed forever. So his office used to be in this Cadillac building where I sold, new Cadillacs, Volkswagens, and Mazdas. And then I also sold pre-owned vehicles. Well, he lived in his office. And one day I walk into the building, and his office is always to the left. And it's completely bare.
Wow.
And I'm getting chills talking about this story because I knew that he wasn't lying to me. and I had to make some tough decisions. And, when you're making a multi six-figure income
Yeah.
and you go into basically somebody telling you this,
Hmm.
I still gave it a shot and I kept going at that same dealership. And I worked so the dealership group that I work for is in the top 12 in the entire country. And so I'm thinking, okay, well, in my mind, I had three choices. Number one, I stick with this dealership. And I did. I stuck with it for a little while. And I also watched my pay go from a multi six figure to like almost, I don't know, a third of what I was making.
Wow.
Oh, and it happened within 4 months of that.
What caused that change?
Well, if anybody knows the car business, you
Mm.
basically have what you buy the vehicle for and what you sell the vehicle for. And
Mhm.
as a salesperson, I make a percentage of the gross profit. I made 30%. Well, if we're using an example of like we buy a vehicle for 10, we sell for 15 because 5 grand is about the average markup on just a basic car, that would be a really good profit.
Mhm.
However, they have what you call a pack. And what a pack is pure profit that a dealer has to make before they pay us measly salespeople.
Oh.
So the pack kept increasing, all the way to the point where on paper it would show they own the vehicle for more money than. So basically, there was no more margin left. So they
Right.
would be there is no more gross profit. So
And
what's
was
30%?
this across the board, like the auto industry changed?
So that's an interesting. So that leads into my next piece is that I kept seeing it change. So then
Mhm.
my second option is, oh, well, I'll just go to another dealership. But in my mind, if they're doing it and they're the biggest dealer group in Missouri, then everybody's going to do it.
Yeah.
So then my third option is I start a whole new company concept that nobody's ever heard of and make things really difficult on myself. So I chose option three.
Oh, I love the difficult road. I love that. Uh, and in your mind, when that idea came to you, what did it feel like? Like, were you, "Oh, yeah, that's totally gonna work," or were you skeptical of this new idea?
Well, yeah, I mean, so what I did was in that time, in that 4 months, right? So I kept seeing it drop, 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 drop. I decided to stick my foot in the water just a little
Mhm.
bit,
Mhm.
just to see how things would go, to
Mhm.
try to make an educated decision, calculated risk, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
So I started working on the side, and these people that would come in the dealership, they'd be like, "Oh, I can't take that for my car. Oh, that's way, way too low. I'll sell it myself." So one day I said to this guy, I said, "Hey, how about I sell it for you?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" They were literally, and for all the car people out there, this was a
Mhm.
really like rare car. It was a '04 Chevrolet Tracker. They don't even make them anymore. This thing had like 30,000 miles on it. And
Mhm.
they were going to give him $3,000 for this thing. And Kelly Blue Book was 10. And that's what he's like. He's like, well, I could, Kelly Blue Book's 10 grand. I'm like, yeah. And that's exactly what they're going to sell it for.
Mhm.
They're going to make 6 grand, seven
Yeah.
grand.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, I can't do that. So then I said, how about if I sell it for you? And I said, I'll tell you this, I'll give you, $500 more. At the time I was just throwing out and he just did it. And I sold it for like $6,500. So I made $3,000 and I
Wow.
sold it in 2 days.
Wow.
And so then I kept doing that. And I even told my boss I was doing it because I was so frustrated. I'm like, hey, I need like a base salary or something because like if you're not allowing me to make commission, because
Money.
commission's really fun when you can
Yeah.
make money, but when you restrict people to make money, that's not fun.
Yeah.
So I wind up selling this vehicle, and then I kept doing it over and over, Suzanne. And it's like,
Mm.
maybe this could work. And then me and my
Yeah.
buddy Joe said, hey, let's go into business together.
Mm-hmm.
And then it went downhill from there. I mean, actually uphill, I should say, uphill from there.
Okay. So I see massive potential with this, and many of my friends, family, listeners know that I have a little Porsche, well, Volkswagen, Porsche, Audi obsession, right? And I have decided when my son gets his driver's license, I'm getting the Porsche I always wanted. And there's some strict requirements of what I want. And I have a 3D outline right here of the car. I have the Lego version over here. I have AI pictures of me driving it, standing in front of it. Like, I'm manifesting the hell out of this, right? So much so that when I met you, you had something very close to what I wanted. It wasn't exactly what I wanted. And you were introduced to me right in this time of my life. And I'm like, oh my God, he's the guy that's going to bring my car to me. My car might be in California, like it might be in Florida. I don't have to look here anymore in New Jersey, right? And this idea that it's getting closer and closer and closer to me, so many people are looking for a very particular car from their past. And I think it's fascinating what you do and how you've grown this into an actual business because of did it come from a love of cars per se in the beginning?
Well, my dad always was really into cars.
Mm-hmm.
And we always had like different cars, and he was so particular about the cars. And I'll never forget, he took me to nursery school in a Corvette. He had a 1978 red Corvette. And I absolutely love this car. And I said, one day I'm going to have a Corvette too.
Nice.
And so when I was in the dealership world, I wound up buying Corvette, and I could buy it cash so super easy. The kids were really young at the time.
Yeah.
And I didn't like it as much as I thought I would. So I'm like, I'll keep it for like, I think 6 or 7 months. And then I bought a Viper.
Mm.
And I've always just had like this, I love like, I like to be, I'm a very unique person. I'm a customized person is what I call it, telling my wife.
Yeah.
I buy this Viper, and that was a really cool car. I mean, people would take pictures, and I really just kind of wanted to be proud of like.
And what year was that?
It was in 1998. I bought it with 6,500 miles. I kept it for 2 years, made $1,000 on it, sold it with 9,900 miles on it. Some gal from Arizona flew in, took a rental car to my house.
They were so hot then.
Oh, gosh. Oh, it was an amazing car, but I almost killed myself in it one day because it doesn't have a lot of traction around corners, and especially in the rain. So I did a 180 in the middle of the street, and I said,
nice.
I think it's time for the Viper to go.
Nice.
And ever since then, I love cars, and I think it's more, I love people more, and I love being like a superhero. I think that is really what my passion was, Suzanne, is that I do not like when people are taken advantage of. And I have a mantra that I don't think profit's a bad word. I think unfair is. And when it becomes unfair, that is where my superhero cape comes on. And I'm like, this is not okay, because this person does this once every 5 to 10 to 15 years, and they go buy a car. And these car salespeople, if you use an analogy, they are the top, like it's like having a top attorney that you're going against in the state when you're trying to buy a car. You're going to lose if you don't have an advocate. So I wanted to be that advocate for people And I wanted to share my vision and bring other people into the company that felt the same way I did.
I love that, because I think morals and values aligning with what you do for a living is probably the single greatest thing, for happiness, fulfillment, satisfaction, and making more money. There's nothing worse than being out of alignment, morals and values, with where you work or who you work for, or even if you're doing something for yourself, Um, all right, I have a list of cars for you,
Okay.
and we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to get into what else you do. So first, my first love is a 1967 Buick Electra convertible. And when I tell you it was my dad's baby, this car, it was burgundy, really dark, rich burgundy, black interior, black convertible top. And I can remember top down, no car seat, bouncing around in that car. It was amazing. And the best feature of that car was the horn. The horn of that model, instead of beeping, was an air horn, and it went ooga.
Oh yeah.
And oh my God, I thought it was the coolest thing when I was a kid. All right, so that's number one to put on our list for finding that. And then, of course, the 1985, 86 911 Targa, white, black or burgundy interior, preferably turbo. Then there's one other that's been on my mind, and I would love to find one. A 1988 Volkswagen Scirocco.
Yeah.
And it needs to be the VR6 version. And I had one of those. And it's the biggest regret of my life was, or not of my life, of my car life, was selling that before I moved to California. And I should have just driven it across the country and kept it. So what do you think of my list?
It's interesting.
Pretty eclectic list.
Yeah, like a lot of variety.
Yeah.
I know enough to be dangerous. So on those cars. So what's really great is when you start a company is to put people in place that really, really know their stuff when it comes to cars.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got somebody in place that takes care of all of what we call our vehicle finder program as a buyer's agent.
Nice.
And there's really nothing off the list that he won't go look at. The only thing was off the list is someone came to us last week and said, "Can you find a bus for us?" And it's like, yeah, that's probably not
a bus.
A bus.
Like a Volkswagen bus?
No, like a bus, like for senior community, transport people around. I'm like, probably not a good fit. But yeah, I mean, there really isn't anything that we can't find. And the gentleman in our company is so patient. He has over 20 years experience. And what I love about him too, he has the same ethics and morals, the same what we call core values. And one of our core values is being integrity. He likes to wear that superhero cape, and
I love it.
He does not let dealers push him around. And he is an advocate for our clients.
I love that. And how did you find him?
Well, what happens is when you have a business and you reach capacity. So our vehicle finder program took off like wildfire. It's like, oh, well, you mean you can find me a vehicle and I don't have to go to the dealer and you can deal with all the shenanigans and put it on a silver platter so I could just go pick up my vehicle, or you could just like sell it, send it to our house. I'm like, yeah. Well, a lot of people like that. And we do it on the new and pre-owned. So they were coming to me, right? Because as a startup, you do everything yourself. And then I'm like, man, I got to bring on some people. So what I did is I put an Indeed ad out and I said, I'm going to
Mhm.
bring on 5 people. It doesn't matter where they live.
Yeah.
And I know I'm probably going to keep 2 of them because people are just going to fall out. And that's exactly what happened. I brought
Wow.
on 5, I kept 2, and those 2 stayed for a long time. And I still have one of them. He's been with me for almost 5 years. And I've never met him, Suzanne, in
I
person.
love that.
Isn't
I
that
love that. I
amazing?
mean, I have 5 or 6 team members that help me with my one-on-one clients, from automations to content creation to graphic design, branding, and podcasting. And those
Mhm,
5 people I have never met in person.
mhm.
But when I tell you that I feel so comfortable and there's so much trust there, that when you meet someone and the morals and ethics line up and you work well together, like, I don't think it transcends this virtual environment. And my husband has said to me, I went to my mentor's house last year. I'm in New
Mhm,
Jersey near Philadelphia. She's up in Boston, and she was
mhm.
having this weekend gathering at her house. And she just said, "You're the only one from far away. Come and stay." And I told my husband, and he was like, "Have you ever met her?" And I said, "Yeah, every week for an hour on Zoom." And he's like, "And you feel comfortable going to her home and staying there?" I said, "If I feel comfortable referring $100,000 clients to her, then yes, I feel comfortable going to her house." And I think this idea of rapport and trust, I, I think no matter what you did for a living, Jay,
Right.
I would refer business to you because we've already established a common bond and conversation. And I think that makes you different in this industry.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I feel that too. And even my client services director, she's going to be a partner of this company one day. And
Mhm.
um, she is absolutely amazing. I've never met her either
Mhm.
in person.
Yeah.
I just act. I always say, I also have another saying: actions speak louder than words. Don't
Yeah.
tell me you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Show me you're going to do this.
Yeah.
Prove it to me. When
Yeah.
you prove it to me, then I believe you. And she
Yeah.
has over and over and over.
Yeah. And I think I like what you're saying, from, remove the ego out of it, right? I don't have to prove anything,
Right.
but I do have to show what I know, what I value, and who I am as a person, in order to have conversations with people that, like, we're not talking business per se here,
Right.
but I think what is really, really important, in no matter what business you're in, is to be able to connect with people at a human level, virtually or in person, and working on those skills, rapport, conversation skills, more importantly, listening skills. It's the number one thing that most people don't do. And when you started this business, you listened. You listened to your customers' issues,
Yep.
and you created a whole company based on that.
Yeah.
That's the message today, for sure.
Yeah. I always tell people this because I have my other elevating business solutions, and I have people that are, oh, I've got this great idea, Jay. I've got this great idea. I'm like, okay,
Mhm.
all right, tell me about it. Oh, it's gonna. I'm not gonna say, because then this person's probably listening, because it's not a very good idea in my opinion. But it's like, oh, it's going to do this, this, and this, and this. And I'm like, mm-hmm. And do people want this? Oh, I think they do. You think they do?
Mm.
Well,
Yep.
what makes you think they do? Well, I think they do. And just because you think they do doesn't mean they do. And then what you'll do is you'll spend so much time building this business that has no value to anybody, but it has a
Right.
value to you.
Right.
And you learn from your mistakes and failures. That's another
Yeah.
thing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that the listening to your customer,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a lot of talk in business about picking a niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily agree with that right in the beginning. Pick a problem to solve. Pick a
Mm-hmm.
problem to solve. And then you figure out, after you work with 100 or so people solving that problem, what common characteristics do all those 100 people have?
Right.
Who were the PIA ones that I never want to talk to again? Who were the incredible ones that referred more business to me? And let's focus on those. But until you help 100 people and listen, you really don't know who that person is.
Yeah, it is so true. It's really, really tough. Like when you're starting a business and
Yeah.
coming up with everything, and just know that, like, it's so exciting to start a business. But I think one of the things that I've learned more than anything is that failure is a great opportunity to learn a lesson, and
Yeah.
just don't keep repeating them.
Yeah. Yeah. I think being willing to fail.
Yeah.
I just had that conversation with somebody that he wasn't going to launch his offer until June 30th. And I said, today, that was my only response to what he was telling me. I was like, today, what do you mean? Just be that offer today. You already are that offer every time I talk to you. Don't say you're waiting till June 30th, right? And that's the hardest thing to do as an entrepreneur is just start and test. Be willing to fail. Be willing to look like an idiot too. Like, I don't care. I've
Right.
I've launched more things that didn't sell than I've launched things that did sell. And I've still done very, very well. Let's talk about your other business because this is so intriguing. The overlap here, and many people wouldn't see it just looking at you.
Yeah. So I think of the things in my life that really light my fire. And it's hard sometimes to
Mm.
really determine what really lights your fire until you're intentional about really looking for that.
Mm.
And I had this coach, and it was a purpose exercise, and it's basically how to find your purpose in life. And what I got out of that meeting was I like to inspire, elevate, and uplift people. That is what lights my fire. And so I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm really, really good at a lot of things. I'm good at operations. I'm very good about processes and procedures, like building iAutoAgent from the ground up and like having every one of our processes and procedures documented, and then having processes in place to update,
Mm.
whatnot. But then I was like, man, I love leading and I love coaching and I love like sharing all of my failures as well as successes and
Mhm.
teaching others how to get to a place a little bit faster. When you have a coach, you'll get there faster. It doesn't mean you won't make mistakes or
Right.
fail, but you'll get there faster. And man, that's just really what I love doing. And I'm like, I think I want to start a second company. And I wasn't quite sure exactly what I was going to do. So I was like, okay, well, I'll be more like a fractional COO. I'm really good with that. But I also like just the one-on-one coaching with with the CEOs and the entrepreneurs, that they're all faced with those same problems. Just sometimes they're bigger problems because there's more money involved.
Yeah.
And then in November of 22, when people didn't even know what AI was and ChatGPT, that was the very, very first day that ChatGPT came out.
Mhm.
And I became absolutely obsessed with AI.
I
I
know.
mean, not just like it, I mean obsessed, where every single thing I could put my hands on, I was learning about it. And I'm like, this is going to be the future. And one of my other coaches said to me, Jay, I want you to think about how iAutoAgent works now and how you can implement AI, because
Mhm.
I'm always 2 steps ahead of everybody else.
Mhm.
That's one of the things about me. I have like this crystal ball. Even when I started iAutoAgent, I knew that one day, and mark my words, and we can keep this, this is recorded, dealerships the way we know it are going to be eliminated.
Yeah.
And I knew that in 2014 when I decided to start iAutoAgent. And I also know that if you don't start learning AI now, you will be left behind. And the other thing I learned too is we are not the knowledge anymore.
Mm.
AI is the knowledge. They are smarter than us. There are AIs right now that are free that anybody can have that is smarter than Elon Musk. But what
Mhm.
you are responsible for now is being that engineer, that architect, to get that answer that you're looking for.
Yeah.
And that is why I started Elevating Business Solutions, because I take all of that. I help those business owners that have hit the wall. They're wearing all the hats. They don't know how to get to the next level. We implement AI, help them streamline their processes without adding a big team or a bunch of overhead that is unnecessary.
I love it. I love it. And it's just so in theme with what I've seen. I started AI right around the same time 2 years ago. Just found a great mentor in Jonathan Mast, and really just saw he has an AI agency model, and I have explored that. I have a team of people who have different AI specialties. But what's most intriguing for me as a geek who likes to learn technology platforms, someone asked me a question about using AI to create online courses. Here's my example. And I said, sure, which way would you like to do it? They didn't know. I said, okay, well, here are our options. To use a platform that will create the course from a sentence. It'll be very generic, third grade reading level, and then you can add your assets and your videos. Or you can use a more in-depth process that follows a structure with ChatGPT that goes more into your intellectual property, combining it with AI's intelligence. And you'll get a much more expensive, robust course that you could use as a coaching program as well. And then the third option is to take all of your intellectual property and use AI to create the assets, the resources, the books, the PowerPoints, all of those things to go with, I'd say, an over $10,000 offer. And the person looked at me and was like, I didn't even know any of that was possible.
Yeah.
And this idea of being that's what's possible. I started to call conversations with people. Do you want to explore what's possible? And if I know what's possible, I love that crystal ball thing that you said, because I feel like I see that. I can see this like overhead view of what's coming and what's going to be possible. What is possible right now that many people don't even realize is possible.
No, I tell you, me and Dina are going to do a master class together because she does the marketing and it's really
Uh-huh.
great. She does the implementation. And so um, I just decided I run a business professionals group on Wednesday mornings and a lot of great people there. And one
Mhm.
day a speaker actually canceled. So we didn't have a speaker. I'm like, you know what? I'll do it. I
Yeah.
also do improv, by the way, too. I've been doing improv for,
Nice.
like, almost 4 years now. I love it. It's great for business too, by the way. But anyway, so I'm like, I'm just going to improv it. I just grabbed three different things that I could
Uh-huh.
teach. I showed them like, hey, SOPs. I created a prompt for Blue Ocean strategy for these people that are like in this really commoditized type of
Mhm.
world,
Nice.
and an elevator pitch because
Nice.
people don't know how to tell people what they do and get people
Yeah.
interested. I
Yes.
did those three things, and people were absolutely blown away by it. I
Yeah.
mean, and this is stuff that I'm like, I could do this with my eyes closed.
Well, I keep thinking everybody knows how to do
I know,
that kind of stuff. Uh,
right?
there's a book I just read called Microscripts. I can't remember off the top of my head who wrote it.
Okay,
Um, and it's basically you'll love it. Dina will love it.
yeah,
And I had AI write a summary for me, but then I read the summary and I said, "Oh, I need to read this whole book." So I got it. And basically, the idea is short marketing messages that people identify with you. One of my favorites for myself is I believe coaching is custom and co-created with my client. That's why I don't have a program or modules or chapters or whatever. And I have a bunch of them for all different types of people, for all different situations, networking events, talks that I give. And so, this idea of having about 20 micro scripts for your business, the book is phenomenal. It gives you frameworks. Well, I took the frameworks and put them into Chat GPT with my custom GPT that knows all about me, all about my offers, all about my knowledge and what I do. And I said, create 20 microscripts for me. And I did it in front of my AI mastermind group. And everybody was like, oh my God,
mhm,
you just took a book and made it practical. And that's what we're talking about. Like, make it practical and actually use it. And if you do that workshop, I'd be happy to put it in front of my people because so
oh,
valuable.
that would be amazing. Yeah, because Dina and I, it is going to be a combination of in person as well as recorded.
Mm,
Wow, and we get, you get personal things happening in your life, and
yeah.
I've got, you know, to be vulnerable. I've got some issues with my mom right now. We're moving them to a senior community. I've got issues with my kids, and it's like we're putting it like in the fall. We're
Okay.
gonna do this because people are on vacation right now, and like we were trying
Yeah.
to get it out really quickly, but it wasn't gonna happen because everybody's on vacation too, and you're not gonna get as many people to
Right.
watch it. So, yeah, that's really Suzanne, we have so much in common. It's
You
just
know,
insane. Like, I preach this all the time. People don't realize, like, okay, well, there's a million type of AIs out there, language
mhm,
models, whatever. And like the reason why I do use ChatGPT is exactly what you said.
mhm.
It knows who you are. It knows all about you. It even knows more about you than you know about you.
Mm.
That's what's really scary.
I asked
And
it to roast me the other day. Try that. It's really funny.
oh my gosh, that would be fun. Oh my
I
gosh, I
have
would
a
love
prompt.
that.
Well, I have a prompt that my
You
ops
gotta send
manager
that to me. That would be I
Sherry
love being
wrote.
roasted actually.
It's hilarious, and it's, in the style of the roast on TV, and explains a couple comedians to pull their style. Like, I love Nikki Glazer. I think she's hilarious. And it
Mhm.
totally channeled one of those roasts on me. I laughed out loud. It was hilarious.
Oh yeah. that's what we do in improv. So once a year we roast all the cast of improv,
Uh-huh.
and it's so much fun. Like I love being roasted.
Yeah.
I do it. I'm sensitive, but like roasting is, it's really cool. And Nikki Glazer's from St. Louis.
Oh, is she really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah. She went to school about like less than 30 minutes away from me.
That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Well,
She's
I
amazing.
I just think that the message I would like to really emphasize here is that I'm a business coach. I am an AI advisor. I'm a tech consultant that has a lifelong love of cars. And then I meet someone like you who has all of those same things. And a lot of people would say, oh, well, that's great that you get along with Jay, but why would you share his workshop when you do something similar? Why would you encourage your people to sign up for something of his when he does something similar? And the message I want to get across, and that I want to attract more people who understand that it's not about competition, it's about shared morals and values, and your ideal clients who are going to choose you, hire you, they're the ones meant to work with you. And the more people that you can meet and expose yourself to and collaborate with, be JV partners with, who have the same outlook on people. I mean, there's more. You and I could stand in front of 100 people, and some people would choose me, and some people would choose you to be their teacher, right? And if we do it on our own, I attract 20, you attract 20, but together we could attract 100. And I just think that's the message more entrepreneurs need to keep in mind in their networking, in being in a mastermind group with 10 or 20 other people. They should all be people who have that attitude.
Wow, that's powerful. I'll tell you, Suzanne, we're so aligned because the business professional meeting that I run,
Mm-hmm.
we have multiple insurance agents, we have multiple real estate agents, we have
Yes.
multiple financial planners. And I say all the time, number one, there's also different niches too. So
Mm-hmm.
we've got an insurance agent that loves doing life insurance, and he does like this juvenile life insurance. And then we got these other people that are like, oh, well, I don't even do like I do regular auto insurance. It's like, yeah, but I specialize in commercial insurance. And it's like, and not everybody meshes with everybody.
Yeah.
Some people don't want to work with men. Some people don't want to work with women.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't want to work with, I mean, everybody can sit there and segment everything out, but you are so right. Like that's what I try to get through to people all the time. Like, listen, don't be like intimidated because there's another real estate agent sitting in there, because guess what? They're not you.
Right. Well, where do you think that comes from? Lack? Does it come from I'm not good enough to be in the same room with 4 other realtors, I'll never get chosen feeling? Or is it just years in business and, you just stop worrying about stuff like that?
I think a lot of people have self-limiting beliefs. They have
Mhm.
insecurities. And I think we all have self-limiting beliefs and insecurities, but
Mhm.
it's all about like recognizing that you do have that and not letting it take over your life, and try to do things to help yourself in those areas. I don't really know the answer to it other than it is an insecurity for people. Like I
Mhm.
had somebody say, I hope that other real estate agent doesn't show up today. It's like, okay, well, what if
Wow.
they do? Or I hope that other insurance agent, they seem to like him more than they like me.
Mm.
That's your perception. That doesn't mean it's reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point though. It really is.
Yeah, I think that's the homework. I think if you wanna be a better connector, you want to have your people introduce more aligned people, it comes from being a little vulnerable. I didn't always think like this. I didn't always understand what we're talking about, but I got to that point. And I don't know where it happened or when it happened, but that's when the doors opened for me when I embraced that. So I love that you feel that way too.
Yeah, I mean, we are so aligned, and I gathered that the very first time we spoke, and I'm like, I just want to keep talking to Suzanne because she just is very real. We
Yeah.
have the same, like, we're just very aligned. They're just, I call it synergy or whatever you want to call it. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just amazing.
Well, and just to think, I got in trouble the whole time I was in school for talking too much.
No, really? I got in trouble for
Every
not paying attention.
well, I had that issue too. Often the pencil sharpener that used to be at the window, like
Okay.
I would stand there sharpening a pencil from here down to here just to
Mhm.
look outside the window.
Mhm.
But every report card, and thank goodness my son's not home listening to this because he's a straight A student. Every report card from first grade to at least 10th when they stopped writing in comments on your report card refrains from excessive talking every single year.
You know
And
what
I
my
would get in trouble for it at
Oh, yeah.
home.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
and now I make a living because I talk and listen, but it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I feel the same way, and, I do speaking presentations all over as
Mhm.
well, and I love talking, and I love sharing, but going back to school, they didn't have, like, the, classifications like, "Oh, Jay just didn't pay attention." It's like, "Oh, no, Jay probably had ADHD because both his
Yeah.
kids do." Um,
Yeah.
but it's always Jay had I had, I was in the lowest classes for math,
Mhm.
reading, everything, and my mom used to sit at the kitchen table, "Jay, focus. Jay, focus." And I remembered all those times that she did that for me and
Mhm.
how she helped me truly get through school. And now that she's going through what she's going through now, I don't ever forget that.
Yeah.
And as much as she doesn't want to leave her house right now and go in the senior community, it is she is in an unsafe environment. And I said, Mom, you know what? Sometimes, you know, you told me things when I was a kid that I didn't like, but I had
Mhm.
to do it. And I said, now the situation's reversed. Sometimes you're going to hear things you don't like, but
Mm.
you've got to do this because I'm looking out for your safety and your well being.
Jay, that's beautiful. And that really resonates with me as an only child who took care of both of her parents. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
I mean,
you.
you're welcome. And I mean, at some point we're all going to leave this earth. We don't know when we're going to leave this earth.
Mhm.
So we try to do the best we can to give ourselves the best shot of
Yeah.
having the best quality of life by the end of our lives. And again, we learn from seeing failures. I saw my dad deteriorate, and he actually passed away 3 months after I started iAutoAgent, and my
Mm.
mom almost passed away 3 months after my dad. Um,
Yeah.
and I saw two people that never took care of themselves. They never ate right. They didn't exercise. They didn't do any of those things. And my dad didn't have time to spend with me to go to my games and go to my performances. And I said, I'm never going to be that dad in
Yeah.
that sense.
Yeah. Well, I think that can be such a powerful motivator as an entrepreneur to do things differently. And my parents were wonderful wonderful parents, but I wanted my life with my son, with my husband, just what we were creating together to be different than being so overworked, and just this different level of health as well. And I think that's why I studied nutrition when I was a dental hygienist. It wasn't for coaching, it was for myself and my patients, of course. But look how that served me as I transitioned into being a coach. And I still routinely give nutrition and supplement advice to my clients who are struggling with things like focus, who are struggling to get enough hours in the day to work. And I have them work less to get more done. Like, that's not a coincidence to me that you have gone through that and that you're going through it now. It's lessons for your future self and for clients. And thank you so much for being vulnerable and sharing that with us. Really, really impactful.
You're welcome. And I hope it does inspire, uplift, and elevate,
Yeah.
people that are listening to it, is because at the end of the day, we all wear a mask, and
Yeah.
some people are okay with taking off their mask.
Yeah.
And I am one.
Mm-hmm.
That what you see is what you get. I wear my heart on my sleeve.
Yeah.
And some people will not take off their mask. And I
Yeah.
think when you start taking off your mask, you're going to start realizing there's other people that are going through the same things you are, but you have to be open to be talking about it, because it is therapeutic to
Yes.
find out that you are not the only person in the world that's going through these types of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect spot to wrap up. Jay, thank you so much for this conversation. And I know by the comments I see coming across, thank you, Gordon, just how impactful entrepreneurs take a lesson from Jay and I today. And, of course, if you're looking for a special car in your life too, Jay can help with that. But more importantly, let's take away who Jay is as a person from this conversation. Thank you so much. TFBY, as my son says.
What does that mean?
Thanks for being you.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know if we made it up or not, but it's how we sign our cards around here in the King household. TFBY.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're so welcome. How can our listeners get in touch with you?
Well, obviously, if you want to buy a vehicle and need some help finding a vehicle, you just go to iAutoAgent.com and just put the criteria that you're looking for by clicking buy. And then you can call us at 636-614-3711. And of course, elevatingbusinesssolutions.com. You're struggling with hitting the wall and need some help to get to that next level without adding a big team, talk to me. Or if you're struggling just building your SOPs, standard operating procedures.
Love it. Thanks, Jay.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.